What is going on, squad? I wanted to drop my 5 biggest isometric mistakes that I've made over the last 2 years of using the iso chain or any type of overcoming isometric exercise. Let's just jump right into it. And the first one is expecting every session to be a win. Now, because of the excitement of the iso chain when it first dropped in 2020, you know, Bruce Lee, iso chain, yeah, that's what he did. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. Every day is gonna be a win. And while there were some times where we, and I'm sure a lot of us can relate, had consecutive days of winning, that's just not how success works. We all wish it was just linear, but as I've mentioned in many videos in the past, often what success looks like is just like this, the stereotypical line graph where it just goes whoop, whoop, whoop. That is typical success. As long as we're consistent and we're doing progressive overload, we should be on the upward trend. Notice I said upward trend, not just continually upward, as if we're never gonna have any bad days. We're always gonna have bad days. Every now and then you're gonna have a bad day. 8 hours of sleep, macros were perfect, enough rest time, program is perfect, and you still just had a bad day. Has anyone had that happen in the weight room? I have. We still have it. Now, if they happen really frequently, chances are there's something wrong there. But I'm just talking about if you did everything right and you still have a bad day, it's part of the process. You're going to have a bad day every now and then. It's okay. So if we had 100 on the bicep curl and then we had 100.2 and then 101, and then the fourth day it's like 96 point, like where did the 96 come from? I feel better today than I did on the day where I got 103 and I had like 4 hours of sleep. It's part of the game. It's how it is. Another one of the biggest mistakes that I've had in the last 2 years doing this style of training is not warming up. We need to warm our muscles up. Just like in the weight room, you know, we're not just gonna jump right onto 225. We need to warm the muscles up first. If we don't do that, by the way, we are really asking for injury. I know for the first couple years of me lifting, I used to just jump right into it. You know, part of that was being 23 with the invincible mindset. Man, I could do it. See, I did it. I did all these 3 sets, right? Yeah, okay, well, I'm 33 now, and I'm sure some of y'all are older than I am, and you're just like, man, I was really dumb back then. Why did I do that? Just warm up, guys. Just think about it. Think about this analogy, and then we'll go to the next one. Would we ever put a rubber band in a freezer, freeze it overnight, take it out, it's solid, and then try and stretch it? No, right? We need to let it come back to room temperature so it becomes stretchable, becomes more pliable. All right, it's the same thing here. We can't just go right into it. I mean, we can, but we are really running the risk of something going wrong. Plus, we're not going to be at peak form. So we have more power and we can perform at a higher level when our muscles are warm. And I actually have a video on that. If you haven't seen that, here's a link right here. Go ahead and check that out. Number 3, the Valsalva maneuver. So this is essentially correct breathing form. So I've been getting this a lot, and I'm sure maybe you've asked yourself this also, because, and I'm just talking about the strength contractions, the 6-second ones, because it's 6 seconds of all out exertion. How exactly do you breathe, right? So I've gone over breathing in a video here. Let me give you an example. When I train my clients on the iso chain, I'll count down for them before we do the contraction. I'll go 3, 2, 1, and push. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. And so some of my clients say, you're just like, yeah, that's exactly how he does it. But that's what I do. So in the 3 seconds, what I want them to do is get themselves ready. So 3, 2, 1, I just want them to be like, you know, so I'm pushing out. So they don't have to be vocal about it, but as long as they are exhaling for that 6 seconds, that's fine. Say you run out of air, all right, you're gonna have to take another, you know, as you're still in the contraction, but don't hold your breath. The less oxygen you have, the less powerful you are, all right? There's a reason why some of these supplements out here are just, they're opening up the blood vessels, they're opening up the airways, allowing for more oxygen to travel through your body, thus allowing for more effective and more powerful lifts and more gains. All right, so if you didn't know that, now you know. All right, so the more oxygen you have, the stronger you are. Don't limit that by holding your breath. I would never tell somebody to hold their breath in the weight room, and it's the same here. All right, you could pass out there, you could pass out here as well. So make sure that we are breathing correctly. Number 4, treating this style of training like it's inferior to weightlifting. It's not better than weightlifting. It's not inferior to weightlifting. It's just different than weightlifting. It has a different purpose, okay? So if you want to use overcoming isometric training for hypertrophy, all right? So we have a video on that. You can check that out right here on why it works. It does work. You have to just do it right, which a lot of people don't, especially if they haven't seen this channel. So if they don't know how to do that, then they're not doing it right, okay? Another thing is it has to be measurable isometric. There has to be some way to be performing progressive overload with this style of training, okay? So a lot of the reasons why we sometimes look at it as it's inferior is because it's new and we just haven't seen too much in the realm of success and results and success stories with it yet. It's still too early for this type. It's still too early. Measurable isometrics with a device like this is still too early, but give it time, and it already is starting to gain traction. All right, just give it like maybe 3, 4, 5 more years until people realize, oh my God, that's what this does? Yes, bro. All right, so back to this. The reason why we want to do OI, there's more reasons to it, but I'm going to tell you right now: joint health, joint integrity, strengthen up the tendons and ligaments, in addition to providing one of the greatest strength gains of any lifting method. Isometrics is the king of developing strength. I did not say size, but you can still develop size with isometrics. Again, that's a different topic, but when we're talking about raw strength, isometrics is where it's at. If you're trying to develop raw strength, you should be using specifically overcoming isometric training. The neurological training that we're getting off of this is just second to none. All right, so there are videos on that in my isometric exercise science playlist, which you can find right here. Getting really excited, can you tell? Number 5, guys, that would be incorrect form. Okay, I'll be honest, I had incorrect form on the seated row in the beginning, and I had incorrect form on the Zercher squat in the beginning. I'm pretty good on those now. I wasn't tightening up my core. We are going to find, there's so many more videos we have to make, guys. We're going to find that the tighter you contract your core, the more your body is going to position itself correctly. It might sound weird that I'm saying that, but if you've done iso chain for at least 3 months, you'll understand, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, that as soon as you contract the core, your body almost positions itself correctly because it has to. When you don't contract the core, you start warping your back, you start engaging other areas that shouldn't be engaged, leading to injuries. So for example, when we are on the seated row for the iso chain and we are pulling, whether it's supinated or pronated, it doesn't matter. If we're not contracting our core, right, and we're just focusing on like just pulling backwards like this and we're leaning back, that's incorrect form as well. All right, we're only going to get a fraction of what we could if we just contracted the core. The contracting of the core is going to keep our body upright. It's going to keep the positioning upright, allowing for us to really drive our elbows backwards. This is just one example of many different exercises that can be performed incorrectly on iso chain. The other one is the Zercher squat, where if we don't contract the core, we start to round over the bar, turning into a Zercher deadlift, which is an exercise we can do, but even that has form, and you have to make sure that our chin is up, our core is contracted, our glutes are tight, and we are driving through the quadricep for the Zercher squat, okay? So a lot of the times I see this incorrect, so usually when I have new people on the iso chain, I have to correct their form with it so they don't hurt their back. I hurt my back in the beginning because my form is incorrect. You shouldn't be hurting your back on the iso chain. The only time you would do that is if your form is incorrect. Same thing goes with the deadlift, with the Romanian deadlift. If you have cat back on the iso chain, just like if you have cat back in the weight room and you try and deadlift with the wrong form, you're gonna blow out your back. You're gonna blow out your back on the iso chain too. So we need to make sure that our form is correct. I have a video on form. You can check it out right here. It only covers a few exercises though still, so I'm gonna go over and probably have a playlist on that type of video as well. But anyway, guys, those are my 5 mistakes that I've made with overcoming isometrics, because I really only truly started diving into it 2 years ago when the iso chain came out. All right, guys, but what are your thoughts? Are there anything that you may have made a mistake with that you want to also share with us? Go ahead and comment down below. Like this video if you didn't already, and if you're not yet part of the squad, hit the subscribe button. Come join the squad with us. See you next video. Peace.